Commander Zethkari had witnessed the fall of empires. His scarred hands gripped the command throne as he stared at the blue-green world rotating slowly before his fleet. Earth, the third planet of an unremarkable system, populated by bipedal mammals who had barely crawled out of their atmospheric prison. Intelligence reports suggested they possessed primitive nuclear weapons and chemical propulsion. Nothing the Kefar Empire hadn't encountered and crushed 1,000 times before. Fleet status. Zethkari commanded, his voice carrying the weight of 5 decades of conquest. All vessels reporting ready. Commander. His aide, a young officer named Veldar, consulted his tactical display. 347 ships of the line, 12 dreadnoughts, the entire 5th Conquest Fleet. Zethkari's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. The 5th Fleet was the Empire's most decorated force, fresh from the systematic destruction of the hegemony worlds. They had reduced entire civilizations to ash and glass. This human world would fall within hours. Open a transmission channel. Standard Conquest Protocol. The holographic display flickered to life, broadcasting across all human communication frequencies. Zethkari's towering form filled the screen, his battle-scarred carapace gleaming under the bridge lights. Behind him, the vast expanse of his fleet stretched into the void. Primitive inhabitants of the Third World, he began, his voice carrying the authority of inevitable doom. I am Commander Zethkari of the Kefar Empire. Your species has been selected for incorporation into our domain. Surrender immediately, and your deaths will be swift. Resist, and we will extend your suffering across generations. The transmission cut. Standard protocol called for immediate response. Panicked, desperate pleas, sometimes defiant final words. Zethkari had heard them all. The pattern never changed. Minutes passed, then hours. The silence stretched like a taut wire. So, Veldar's voice carried uncertainty. Still no response from the surface. Perhaps their communication systems are too primitive, Zethkari mused. Begin long-range bombardment. Target population centers. The fleet's heavy weapons charged with familiar efficiency. Particle beams that could crack continents began their targeting sequences. The humans would learn fear quickly enough. Then the transmission came. A simple audio signal, broadcast on every frequency simultaneously. No visual component, no grand speeches. Just 4 words in heavily accented Kefar trade language, spoken by what sounded like a young human female. Try again. The bridge fell silent. Zethkari's blood ran cold. In 50 years of conquest, no prey species had ever responded with such casual dismissal. The audacity was beyond comprehension. Commander, Veldar whispered, should we proceed with bombardment? Hold position. Zethkari's mind raced. This was wrong. Everything about this encounter violated the natural order. Prey cowered. Prey begged. Prey did not issue challenges. Sir, our sensors are detecting unusual energy signatures from planet surface. Multiple locations showing massive power buildups. Before Zethkari could respond, Earth's surface erupted in light. Not the desperate flash of nuclear weapons, but something far more sophisticated. Beam weapons of impossible intensity lanced upward, targeting his Altimus scouts with surgical precision. The energy signatures were unlike anything in the Empire's databases. The first ship to die was a destroyer Kethmar. The beam struck its hull and simply erased it, leaving nothing but expanding gas and debris. No explosion, no death throes, just instantaneous annihilation. Evasive maneuvers. Zethkari roared, but the humans had already adjusted their targeting. Ship after ship vanished in brilliant flashes of light. The weapons tracked and fired faster than Kefar reflexes could comprehend. In 30 seconds, the 5th Fleet lost 4 to 7 vessels. Return fire. All weapons. The surviving ships unleashed their arsenal. Particle beams and plasma torpedoes streaked toward the planet. Enough firepower to sterilize continents. The humans' response was immediate and devastating. Every incoming weapon was intercepted, not by shields or armor, but by precision counterfire that neutralized each projectile with impossible accuracy. The humans weren't just offending. They were playing with the Empire's finest weapons like toys. How? Veldar stared at his instruments in horror. How are they doing this? Zethkari's worldview crumbled as he watched his fleet, The Empire's most powerful force being systematically dismantled by creatures that shouldn't even understand spaceflight. The humans weren't fighting desperately. They were fighting with the calm efficiency of a superior force dealing with an annoyance. Another transmission arrived. The same young voice, now carrying a note of amused irritation. We said try again. That wasn't trying. The surviving ships of the Fifth Fleet found themselves caught in a web of targeting systems that defied comprehension. Every maneuver was predicted, every weapon system counted. The humans were herding them like prey animals, demonstrating absolute tactical superiority. "Commander," his tactical officer reported, voice shaking, "we've lost 60% of the fleet. Recommendation, immediate retreat." Zethkari stared at the blue world that had just shattered everything he believed about the universe. The Empire's greatest fleet was being destroyed by beings who treated annihilation like a game. "Signal the retreat," he whispered, as the battered remnants of his force limped away from Earth. One final transmission followed them into the void. Not words this time, but data, technical specifications for weapons that shouldn't exist, accompanied by star charts marking the locations of Kefar military installations across the galaxy. The message was clear. "We know exactly where you live." The Emergency Council convened in the deepest chambers of the Kefar homeworld, where the Empire's highest commanders gathered only in times of existential crisis. Supreme Marshal Kevan stood before the assembled generals, his usually pristine carapace bearing stress fractures that spoke of sleepless cycles. "Tell them," he commanded. Zethkari, his once proud bearing now bent with defeat, activated the holographic display. The tactical recording played in horrifying detail. Ships of the line evaporating under impossible weapons. The Empire's most sophisticated technology rendered useless by beings who should have been throwing stones. The humans destroyed 60% of the Fifth Fleet in under 7 minutes, Zethkari reported. Their weapons technology exceeds our understanding. Their targeting systems appear to operate through principles we cannot comprehend. General Thaxmore, veteran of 100 campaigns, clicked his mandibles dismissively. "Impossible. No species advances from chemical rockets to energy weapons of this magnitude. There must be an explanation." "The explanation is simple," Zethkari replied. "We underestimated them. Catastrophically." The recording continued, showing the humans' casual interception of every weapon the Empire possessed. The generals watched in growing horror as their most advanced systems were neutralized with surgical precision. "They are not just defending," War Prime Velkaran observed. "They are demonstrating superiority. This is a behavior of a species that views us as primitives." Supreme Marshal Kefan studied the star charts the humans had transmitted. Every major Kefar installation was marked with disturbing accuracy. Military bases, shipyards, research facilities, secrets that should have been impossible for outsiders to obtain. "How long have they been watching us?" he whispered. The question hung in the air like a toxic cloud. The Empire's expansion had been methodical, predictable. If the humans had been observing, they would have had centuries to prepare. The implications were staggering. "So," Intelligence Prime Morthak interjected, "we've analyzed the transmission patterns. The humans weren't broadcasting from their planet's surface. The signals originated from artificial constructs in deep space positioned throughout this sector." The council chamber fell silent. The humans had infrastructure the Empire couldn't detect. They had been ready. "Recommendation?" Kefan asked. "Full mobilization," Thaxmore declared. "Deploy the entire First through Third Fleets. 10,000 ships. Even if their technology is superior, they cannot face our full strength." Other voices joined the chorus. The Empire had never faced a setback it couldn't overcome through overwhelming force. The humans had won a battle, but the war was far from over. Zethkari stood slowly, his movements carrying the weight of terrible knowledge. "I respectfully disagree." The chamber erupted in angry chittering. A field commander questioning the strategic wisdom of the High Council was unprecedented. "Explain yourself," Kefan commanded. "They let us escape," Zethkari said. "The humans could have annihilated the entire fleet. Instead, they allowed survivors to carry this message back to the Empire. They wanted us to know their capabilities." "You're suggesting they deliberately demonstrated their strength." "I'm suggesting this was a warning. The humans are not defending their world. They are offering us a choice. escalate and face consequences we cannot imagine, or withdraw and live. The general's mandibles clicked in outrage. The HFY Empire did not negotiate with prey species. The very concept violated fundamental principles of galactic order. The first fleet launches in 6 standard cycles, Thaxmore announced. We will show these humans what true power looks like. As the council dispersed, Zethkari remained behind. The recording continued to play, showing the moment when human weapons had turned his mighty fleet into debris. He had commanded forces that conquered star systems, but the humans had made him feel like a child playing with toys. The transmission data haunted him. Those star charts weren't just intelligence gathering. They were a demonstration of reach. The humans could strike anywhere in the Empire, at any time. They had chosen to make a point instead of launching a killing blow. That restraint was perhaps the most terrifying aspect of all. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, humanity's true fleet stirred. The defense of Earth had been conducted by automated systems, caretaker protocols maintaining security while the main force prepared for what was to come. The humans had been expecting this moment for 3 centuries, ever since their first detection of HFY expansion patterns. They had watched entire civilizations fall to the Empire's crude tactics. They had studied every weapon, every strategy, every weakness. When the time came to reveal themselves, they would be ready. The HFY thought they were sending 10,000 ships to conquer a primitive world. They were actually walking into the most sophisticated trap in galactic history. Admiral Chen Wei studied the deployment reports from a flagship, hidden in the shadow of Jupiter's upper atmosphere. The human fleet numbered in the hundreds of thousands, each vessel incorporating technology that would have seemed magical to the Empire. They had spent centuries preparing for this moment, waiting for the right time to reveal humanity's true nature. Her tactical officer reported, HFY fleet movements detected. They are mobilizing everything. Chen smiled, a predator's expression that would have frozen Zethkari's blood. Perfect. Signal all fleet commanders. Operation Revelation begins now. The Second Battle of Earth was about to commence, and this time the humans would not be sending a message. They would be sending a statement. The First Fleet emerged from hyperspace like a mechanical plague, 10,000 ships of war spreading across the void in perfect formation. Admiral Gextai commanded from a bridge of the dreadnought Eternal Conquest, his confidence absolute. No force in the galaxy could stand against such overwhelming power. Target analysis complete, his tactical officer reported. Human infrastructure appears unchanged. No additional defensive platforms detected. Gextai's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. The humans had made a mistake. Instead of using their reprieve to strengthen their defenses, they had done nothing. Perhaps their earlier victory had been achieved through desperation, a single-use weapon that had exhausted their capabilities. Signal the fleet. Begin systematic bombardment. I want that planet scoured clean. The order rippled through the massive armada. 10,000 ships prepared to unleash enough firepower to crack continents. The humans would learn that defying the Empire carried a price beyond comprehension. Then space itself seemed to tear apart. What the HFY had mistaken for empty void erupted in controlled violence. Thousands of human ships decloaked simultaneously, their stealth systems so advanced they had remained invisible until the moment of attack. The Empire's sensors hadn't detected them because they were using technology that operated outside known physical principles. The human fleet wasn't hiding behind planets or asteroids. They were everywhere, positioned with impossible precision throughout the combat zone. Each HFY ship found itself surrounded by enemies that had been waiting in perfect ambush. Impossible, Gextai breathed. Our sensors would have detected. His words were cut off as the human ships opened fire. These weren't the defensive weapons that had blooded the Fifth Fleet. These were military vessels designed for one purpose, annihilation. The devastation was immediate and total. HFY ships disintegrated under focused beam fire that seemed to ignore their armor entirely. The humans weren't just penetrating defenses, they were dissolving matter at the molecular level. Entire dreadnoughts ceased to exist in microseconds. Evasive maneuvers. Gextai roared, but the humans had predicted every possible movement. Their targeting systems operated with inhuman precision, tracking thousands of targets simultaneously while maintaining perfect formation. The First Fleet's response was chaos. Ships collided while trying to avoid human weapons. Their own return fire struck empty space as the enemy vessels danced between attacks with impossible agility. The humans weren't just technologically superior. They were fighting with tactical awareness that bordered on precognition. "So," his communications officer reported, voice shaking, "we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet." On screen, the holographic display activated, showing the bridge of a human warship. A woman in a simple uniform stood before the camera, her expression calm despite the carnage surrounding her fleet. She appeared young by human standards, but her eyes held depths that spoke of centuries of experience. "I am Admiral Chen Wei of the Human Defense Fleet," she said in perfect Kefar. "You have 30 seconds to surrender before we finish what you started." Gextai's rage overrode his fear. "Surrender? You face the full might of the Empire. Your tricks will not save you from our numbers." Admiral Chen's expression didn't change. "Very well. Signal all ships, execute Protocol 7. The human fleet's formation shifted with fluid precision. What had been an overwhelming display of firepower became something far more terrifying. The humans weren't just destroying ships, they were harvesting them. Specialized vessels moved through the carnage, collecting debris and technology with mechanical efficiency. They were studying everything, learning from every piece of wreckage. The battle wasn't just about victory, it was about understanding the Empire's weaknesses. "They are taking our technology," Gextai realized with growing horror. "They are learning our systems." "Not learning," Admiral Chen corrected, her voice carrying across the battlefield. "Improving. Your weapons are crude, but they'll serve as useful components once we modify them." The demonstration continued with surgical precision. Human ships disabled Kefvar vessels without destroying them, then proceeded to systematically dissect their technology in real time. They weren't just winning, they were conducting a live examination of everything the Empire had to offer. "So," the tactical officer reported, "we've lost 70% of the fleet. Remaining ships are requesting permission to retreat." Gextai stared at the tactical display in numb disbelief. 10,000 ships, the Empire's greatest force, reduced to scrap metal in minutes. The humans had turned what should have been a conquest into a harvesting operation. "Retreat," he whispered. "Signal all ships. Full retreat." The surviving vessels of the First Fleet fled in disorder, their formations shattered by panic. Behind them, the human fleet maintained perfect discipline, allowing the survivors to escape while continuing their methodical examination of captured technology. Admiral Chen watched the Kefvar ships disappear into hyperspace, her expression thoughtful. The demonstration had achieved its purpose. The Empire now understood they were facing something beyond their comprehension. Her tactical officer reported, "Shall we pursue?" "No. Let them carry word back to their leadership. They need to understand what they are dealing with." The battlefield fell silent except for the methodical work of the human salvage crews. They had learned everything they needed to know about Kefvar military capabilities. More importantly, they had sent a message that would resonate throughout the Empire. Humanity was not defending a single world. They were demonstrating the futility of resistance. As the last of the debris was collected, Admiral Chen activated a secure communication channel. The transmission reached every corner of human space, from the hidden shipyards of the Kuiper Belt to the research stations orbiting distant stars. "Phase 1 complete," she announced. "The Empire has been introduced to our capabilities. Begin Phase 2. It's time to show them what we've been building." Across the galaxy, human installations that had remained hidden for centuries began to reveal themselves. The Kefvar Empire was about to learn that Earth wasn't humanity's only world. It was merely their oldest. The throne room of the Kefvar Empire had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, but never had it contained such desperation. Supreme Marshal Kefvan stood before the Star Throne, his once mighty form diminished by the weight of impossible defeat. Around him, the surviving commanders of 2 annihilated fleets struggled to comprehend how their galactic order had collapsed in mere days. "Report?" Emperor Kefvar commanded, his ancient voice carrying the authority of 10,000 years of conquest. "The First Fleet is gone, Your Supremacy," Kefvan reported. 10,000 ships destroyed or captured. The humans didn't just defeat us, they harvested our technology while we watched. The Emperor's compound eyes focused on the holographic displays showing the battle's aftermath. The humans had released footage of the encounter, broadcasting it across all known communication channels. The message was clear. This was a fate awaiting anyone who challenged humanity. "How is this possible?" the Emperor demanded. "Intelligence reports claimed they were primitives." "Our intelligence was wrong," Zefkari interjected. "The humans have been observing us for centuries. They know our capabilities better than we do." The tactical recordings played again, showing human ships materializing from nowhere, their weapons operating on principles that defied understood physics. The Empire's greatest minds had analyzed every second of footage, finding nothing but questions. "Sir, Intelligence Prime Morthak activated a new display. We've detected massive energy signatures throughout the Outer Rim. The humans are revealing installations we never knew existed." The star map appeared, showing the Empire's territory marked with thousands of red indicators. Each one represented a human facility that had been operating in secret, hidden by technology that rendered them invisible to Kethvar sensors. "They're everywhere," the Emperor breathed. "They've been watching us all along." "Not watching." Admiral Chen Wei's voice filled the throne room as a holographic form materialized unbidden. "Waiting." The Imperial Guard moved to attack, but their weapons passed harmlessly through the projection. The humans had infiltrated the Empire's most secure chamber without triggering a single alarm. "How dare you!" Emperor Kethvox roared. "This is sacred ground." "Sacred to whom?" Admiral Chen asked calmly. "You've built your empire on the bones of conquered worlds. Did you think that wouldn't eventually attract attention?" The Emperor's rage was met with casual indifference. The human admiral stood in the heart of the Empire's power, completely unafraid. Her presence demonstrated technological superiority that rendered all Kethvar defenses meaningless. "What do you want?" the Emperor demanded. "To offer you a choice," Admiral Chen replied. "Your expansion ends now. Release all conquered species, withdraw to your original borders, and we'll allow the Empire to continue existing." The throne room erupted in outraged chittering. The very concept of the Empire negotiating with prey species violated every principle of their civilization. "And if we refuse?" Kethvan asked. Admiral Chen's expression remained neutral. "Then you'll face the consequences of your actions. Every world you've conquered, every species you've enslaved, every life you've destroyed, it all comes with a price." "You cannot threaten the Empire," the Emperor declared. "We command 1,000 star systems." "Commanded," Admiral Chen corrected. "Past tense. Show them." The holographic display shifted, revealing real-time footage from across the Empire. Human fleets were emerging from hiding throughout Kethvar space, their massive formation surrounding key installations. The Empire's outer territories were already under siege. "This is impossible," Morthak whispered. "We would have detected such a massive deployment." "You detected what we wanted you to detect," Admiral Chen explained. "Humanity learned long ago that the best way to win a war is to fight it before the enemy knows it started." The strategic implications were staggering. The humans hadn't just prepared for invasion. They had positioned themselves to decapitate the Empire's entire infrastructure simultaneously. Every major shipyard, every fortress world, every communication hub was under threat. "How long have you been planning this?" the Emperor asked. "Since we first detected your expansion pattern 3 centuries ago," Admiral Chen replied. "We watched you destroy the hegemony, the Centauri Federation, the vegan collective. We studied your methods, learned your weaknesses, and prepared accordingly." The recording showed human ships engaging Kethvar forces across dozens of star systems. The battles weren't even close. The Empire's technology was centuries behind, their tactics predictable, their strategies obsolete. "You studied us like specimens," Zefkari realized. "We studied you like the disease you are," Admiral Chen confirmed. "The galaxy has suffered under your rule long enough. The quarantine ends now." Emperor Kethvox rose from his throne, ancient joints creaking with the weight of millennia. "The Empire will not bow to primitives." "Then the Empire will fall," Admiral Chen said simply. "You have 24 hours to begin withdrawal from conquered territories. After that, we stop being diplomatic." The holographic projection disappeared, leaving the throne room in stunned silence. The Empire's leadership faced a choice that would determine the fate of their civilization. Recommendations, the Emperor asked. We could negotiate, Morthak suggested. Perhaps some accommodation could be reached. The Empire does not negotiate. Kethvan declared. We fight until victory or death. Death seems more likely, Zethkari observed quietly. The humans have been preparing for this moment for centuries. They know everything about us, and we know nothing about them. The Emperor stared at the star map, seeing his Empire's territory marked with human installations. They had been surrounded without knowing it, outmaneuvered by beings they had dismissed as primitives. Very well, he decided. Signal all commands. Full mobilization. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon. If the humans want war, we'll give them war. As the orders went out, nobody noticed the small recording device that had been placed in the throne room's deepest shadows. Admiral Chen's people had been listening to every word, anticipating every decision. The Empire had chosen war, exactly as the humans had predicted. Phase 3 could begin. The Battle of Kethvar Prime began not with fanfare, but with silence. The Empire's homeworld rotated serenely in space, its orbital defenses gleaming like a crown of thorns around the planet that had ruled the galaxy for millennia. 10 million soldiers manned the most sophisticated fortifications ever constructed, weapons that could shatter moons trained on the void. Then the stars went out. Admiral Chen Wei stood on the bridge of the human flagship Prometheus, watching as her fleet stealth systems rendered the very concept of surprise obsolete. 500,000 human ships had materialized around Kethvar Prime, their positions calculated with mathematical precision. The Empire's sensors detected nothing until it was far too late. All stations report ready, her tactical officer announced. Planetary shields are powered, but their energy signatures are 3 centuries out of date. Chen nodded, studying the tactical display. The humans had been preparing for this moment since their first contact with the Empire. Every defensive system, every weapon placement, every strategic weakness had been catalogued and counted. Open a channel to the planetary surface, she commanded. The transmission reached every screen on Kethvar Prime, showing Admiral Chen's calm face to billions of citizens who had never seen their empire challenged. Her words were spoken in perfect Kethvar, each syllable carrying the weight of inevitable judgment. People of the Empire, she began, your leaders have chosen war over wisdom. They have refused to acknowledge the suffering they have caused throughout the galaxy. The time for reckoning has come. Emperor Kethvox's response crackled across the communication channels, his ancient voice filled with desperate fury. You dare threaten the homeworld? This planet has stood unconquered for 10,000 years. Because you've never faced humanity before, Chen replied. Your expansion ends here. Your empire dies here. Your people can choose a different path. The Emperor's response was to activate every weapon system, defending the planet. The orbital fortresses unleashed hell itself, energy beams that could vaporize continents striking at the human fleet with impossible fury. The barrage that followed could have sterilized entire star systems. None of it reached its target. The human ships didn't dodge or deflect the incoming fire. They simply absorbed it, their defensive systems operating on principles that rendered the Empire's most powerful weapons ineffective. Each vessel seemed to drink in the destructive energy, converting it into something else entirely. Impossible, Emperor Kethvox whispered, watching his ultimate weapons prove useless against technology he couldn't comprehend. Your weapons are indeed impressive, Admiral Chen acknowledged. Unfortunately, they're also predictable. We've been studying your defensive systems for centuries. Every beam frequency, every targeting algorithm, every energy output. We know it all. The human fleet began its response, and the universe seemed to hold its breath. The weapons that struck Kethvar Prime were beyond anything the Empire had imagined. They didn't destroy matter. They restructured it, turning the planet's own defensive systems against their creators. The orbital fortresses found their weapons firing on each other, their targeting systems rewritten by human viruses that operated at the quantum level. The planetary shields collapsed as their power sources were systematically corrupted, each failure calculated to cause maximum disruption. How? The Emperor demanded. How can you turn our own systems against us? Because we understand them better than you do, Chen explained. We've been analyzing your technology for 3 centuries. We know every weakness, every flaw, every shortcut your engineers took. You built an empire on foundations of sand. The demonstration continued with terrifying precision. Human ships didn't just attack, they rebuilt. The orbital defenses were systematically converted into something new, their weapons transformed into tools of construction rather than destruction. So, Zefkari reported from the planet's surface, the humans aren't destroying our infrastructure, they're improving it. The tactical displays showed the impossible truth. Human technology was rewriting HFY systems at the molecular level, creating hybrid constructs that served entirely different purposes. Weapons became manufacturing facilities, fortresses became hospitals, military installations became research centers. They are not conquering us, the Emperor realized with growing horror. They are changing us. Correcting you, Admiral Chen clarified. Your species has potential, but you wasted it on conquest and destruction. We're giving you the chance to become something better. The transformation of HFY Prime accelerated, each system converted with mechanical efficiency. The humans weren't just demonstrating technological superiority. They were showing the Empire what they could become if they abandoned their destructive path. The war is over, Chen announced. Your fleets are neutralized, your weapons are useless, your empire is dissolved. But your people can survive. They can thrive. They can join the greater community of species that you spent millennia oppressing. Emperor Kevvok stood in his throne room, watching his empire crumble around him. The reports flooding in from across HFY space told the same story everywhere. Human fleets were dismantling military installations while simultaneously constructing infrastructure for the liberated populations. What happens to us? He asked, his voice broken by the weight of absolute defeat. You learn, Admiral Chen replied. You grow. You become better than what you were. The choice is yours, adapt or become extinct. The Emperor looked at his shattered council, seeing the same recognition in their eyes. The Empire was finished, but the HFY species could continue. They could choose evolution over extinction. We surrender, he said finally. What are your terms? No terms, Chen replied. No conditions. No punishment. Only opportunity. Your people will be free to choose their own path, to build something worthy of the galaxy they inhabit. As the human fleet began its work of reconstruction, a new message spread across the galaxy. The Empire had fallen, but something better was rising in its place. Species that had been enslaved for millennia found themselves free, their worlds rebuilt with technology that turned weapons into tools of creation. The message was simple, broadcast in every language across known space. The galaxy is free. Choose wisely. Humanity had kept its promise. They had tried again, and this time they had succeeded in ways no one could have imagined. The age of empires was over. The age of cooperation had begun. And in the quiet moments between stars, Admiral Chen Wei smiled, knowing that her species had finally found its place in the cosmic community, not as conquerors, but as gardeners, helping other worlds grow into something beautiful.